not feel hindered to reach out to me simply, because I'm a W5, just like you guys are. I have a schedule like you do. I have a calendar, but I do have the opportunity to set time aside to talk to you. So the joint staff's convergence, integration, and synchronization of all the services contributions is critical to ensure the realization of JADC2 to sense, make sense, and act. So most importantly, what I want you to take away is JADC2 is bigger than just the need of the U.S. military. It's a combined effort because warfighting is and always will be with our mission partners, right? So this is, we had the Allied Transformation Command NATO representative, 2-star, at the Data Summit on Tuesday. They were there with us to make sure that when we were talking about things, it wasn't only a service-led way, right? We all know we're not going to be able to fight a war or a mission by ourselves. So joint partners or mission partners being domestic partners, as Northcom's doing today with their fight with COVID, and then also as we would today, left and right with our service partners, but also left and right with our coalition partners. So that's kind of JADC2 in a nutshell. I just wanted to give you a little bit about it. If you need more information, I can kill you with it. Most of it's on SIPR, so I brought it down the best I could to give it to where I could talk to you about it without going over it. But the strategy should be signed this week by the deputy SecDef or SecDef. I can forward to you. It's on SIPR, and then I got a lot more slides I could share. Again, I hate PowerPoint slides, but I could share anything with you. Any more questions on JADC2 before I move on to the next topic?
Hey, Sir T. Gonzalez. Yeah, I'll reach out to you on SIPR, and that way I can share with the group here.
Yeah, no problem. I'll pass it over to you. So the next one I want to talk about is how to be effective in the Army, right? How do we affect the Army? Sorry, we being warrant officers. We have our role within an organization, within the Army. The one thing I'll tell you is, as contrary to what you and I may want to believe, there's nothing special about chief, right? What I mean by that is you're not entitled to anything, right? You're not entitled to anything. You don't get an office. You don't get a parking spot. I apologize. They are killing me on phone calls. You don't get a parking spot. So many things that I hear, those things come when you do your job. I'll promise you, right? Believe me, you'll get an office closer to the boss because the boss wants you to be around, because you're relevant to the organization, you're relevant to the formation, and you've made yourself needed, right? By doing your job. So some of the things that I wanted to talk about would be to be present, engaged. What does that mean? Get out, see the platoons and squads, and evaluate what those soldiers are doing using your comms that you provide, right? Are they being delivered the way they're supposed to be delivered? Are there still challenges that to you and I might be simple to fix, but the user's not getting it, right? So this is not your signal guys. This is your warfighters to get out there. Be relevant. What I mean by that is be able to take a complex technical issue that I know you can, describe it to the non-communicator in a way that's easy to be understood and on operational terms, right? So it means you have to understand operations. You got to understand how a warfighter looks at something and how they talk in operational terms so that you can translate what you're saying to them. Be confident, but don't be arrogant or cocky, right? This is where and I say we because I've been in the same spot as you guys are, where we get overconfident in our capabilities, we start believing ourselves too much, right? I say you start smelling yourself too much. You think you're more than what you are within a formation. While we all know success of an organization relies on the backbone of the NCOs and the warrant officers to get things done, you're reminded of where you fit within the Army when somebody retires. What's the song that everybody sings? The Army goes rolling along, right? You retire today, somebody's going to pick up the mission, you're going to keep moving. So while you are critical, you're not that critical, right? We'll move past it. Be competent. There's a lot of context with it. Know your mission, your unit's mission. Know your commander's priorities. Know your available resources to meet that mission and fulfill the priorities. Know the audience on who you're talking to, and know the environment. There's a time for chief to say something, and there's a time when chief doesn't need to say something, right? You need to know when somebody in the room has the knowledge that you have or higher than you, and so they're going to call BS on it, right? I never answer a question if I don't ask a question if I don't know the answer, and I never try to talk about something that I'm not 100% depth in, right? Or I'll upfront say, hey, I have a little bit of information about this, but I can get back to you. I'm not afraid at any time to not be able to answer a question. I just make sure that I'm not able to answer the same question twice, right? It's upon me to learn what I need to do. You need to develop innovative solutions to meet the mission and commander's priorities. That's what I kind of talked about before. We need to be able to get out, see what's happening in our environments and our organizations that we support, and figure out what are we missing to meet the commander's needs. That's how, when you talked about before with the Northcom capability, they call it, JADC2, that was brought about by somebody in the organization that said, we can do this. This is how we can do it. Commander said, what do you need? What resources do you need? They laid out a plan, and then you give a 4-star back in it at that situation. You got $20 million to support it. Needed to be a team player, or I could say a good partner, right? To do that, you got to develop relationships. I'm happy to see that on JBLM, you guys work together. Just by Chief Gonzalez saying, we already have a good, good cohort. We talk across each other. We know each other. We know technicians. That's what we are, right? The fundamental success of the warrant officer is our ability to network, right? I just got done talking to the incoming DISA commander who was telling me, who's an Air Force 3-star, who doesn't have warrant officers, but has worked closely with me as the J6 of Indo-PACOM, was excited about being in the National Capital Region and wanted to get a warrant officer on his footprint, right? Because he knew that what the warrant officers that he interacted with, he had to have one, and he wanted a certain name. And what I explained to him, if he utilizes his warrant officer appropriately, you have that person, right? So, for example, I'm at the Joint Staff, but I have the ability to reach out into the formation. And so if I need something that's going on in DISA, I reach out to CW5 Wells, right? Or if I need something at the G6, I reach out to Will Robinson, CW5 Robinson. So my boss, because he has me, has the ability to reach into other formations. That's where the strength of a warrant officer comes, right? We're able to keep our leadership informed. We get information through different channels faster than they can, and sometimes, and we share it. So it's critical as we as warrant officers leverage the community to address future demands of the warfighter. And if you're not cross-talking with other warrant officers, not just technical as signal and cyber, but you're not reaching out to the other warrants in your formation and across the department, then you're probably already at a disadvantage. And the last one, and probably the most important one, at any level, it changes as you go up in grades, but you got to be resilient. A lot of what you're doing now and a lot of what you're going to be doing in the future is going to be new. You need to expect to fail. You need to understand that your leadership expects you to fail at some level, right? They wanted to make sure that you're able to have a plan of action and ability to readdress what you're working at. But you need to know, you need to be resilient at what you're going to do. I failed numerous times, right? I probably have more failures than I have successes, but if I gave up and I quit doing what I was doing, I would never be where I'm at today. And it's okay. You set expectations with your leadership, you lay out a plan, and you test what you have. What you can never do is pass on responsibility on to others to resolve, right? Warrant officers don't pass it down the road to somebody else. One of the people that I met years ago, officer 26 series, used to always talk, no matter what the day, what time it was, how busy they were. They'd always tell me, how can I help? What can I do for you today? Right? Not, hey, what do you need? What's going on? What do you want? It was always, how can I help? And what can I do for you? It's critical to build those relationships with people. You've probably heard the old saying, people won't remember what you did or what you didn't do, but you're going to remember how you made them feel, right? So your opportunity to have your legacy or to basically build your relationships and be successful is how you make people feel, right? How do you make somebody feel about something? Any questions on how do we affect the Army? There's a lot of things that we can do to go through institutional changes, technology, emerging technology. Those are things you're going to have to be adaptable. I think I have it on somewhere else, is be adaptable. You're going to have to change and go with the flow, right? I don't know how many of you feel this way, but there is a culture out of 255 Novembers that say we don't do radios. I don't know where that came from. Radios is one of the bread and butter that set me up for success as I was coming up as a young warrant officer. And so you have to be adaptable to that, right? And what does that mean? If we're doing institutional changes in the department, and it's using an example of radios, this will happen down past the battalion and brigade level, which means what? Somebody's going to have to develop the technical resources to train the junior soldiers that will have to execute these technologies. It's going to come down to you guys. Sometimes they'll be provided to you, and sometimes you're going to have to pick it up yourself. Any questions on how do we affect the Army? No questions. Okay, no problem. Probably the one you want to get to, right? How to be successful as a warrant officer. I'm just going to talk to you about how I see being successful. Bottom line up front, first thing is your performance. You want to get promoted and you're asking me how to be promoted. That's a question that I'm being asked. It's performance, it's your evaluations. It's honesty, straightforward to you, right? As you get toward W3s and W4s and to make W5, it's all about timing, opportunity, and performance. If you ever want your file looked at, there's not a W5 that will turn you down. But if you want somebody to look at it, forward me your information. If you're up for the board this year, next year, and you want me to give you an honest assessment, I'll look at your file. Just send me your last 5 evaluations, your ORB. I can pull most of your ORBs. I can't pull your evaluations. And I can sit back and tell you what it is. So if you want to know how to be successful, you need to perform. That's the thing. So that means you got to earn your evaluations. But how do you get to that, right? You're not out there doing your job just for an evaluation. If you're out there evaluation, trying to get an MQ, and that's all you're trying to do, and everything you do is gauged on the MQ, you're not going to be successful. Your leaders are going to see what you're doing. They're going to see right past you. So first thing to be successful, for me, you need to understand and determine what success is for you, right? You define success. Don't let somebody else tell you what success is. I'll tell you, a 20-year career in the military, successful, honorable, is success. You can walk away from the military at any point, no matter what grade you are, and know that you were successful. To me, that's how I looked at it. I was fortunate enough, my W5 promotion picked up at 20, pinned at 21. It kind of coincided, right? So it made it, for me, success was at 20. But if 20 happened and I didn't make W5 and I went home, that's still success. I'm successful in the military. The Army has even went back and said the successor rank for warrant officers is W4. The successor rank for O grades is lieutenant colonel. Before, it's always been thought your successor rank is colonel and W5. That's not true anymore. You need to set priorities, right? So these are how I look at priorities for yourself, right? I've kept these same things. I inform, I advocate, and I implement. Those are the 3 things that I keep to me. It changes a little bit with how I look at it, organization to organization. But inform the C4 cyber mission. What do I mean by that, right? I build and maintain key partnerships across the formation that I'm in. So for me today, it's combined and joint forces to achieve an information advantage, right? Again, inform. I want to inform my command. I want to keep them updated on everything that's happening. So how do I do that? By my relationships and partnerships I've developed, I get information from all over the place before he or she receives it. And then I inform not only my boss, but the staff that supports the boss, right? I'm a team player. I work for everybody on the staff. I help them. Advocate for the warfighter. So I identify and I champion C4 capabilities. Now, we're C4 cyber, so I focus on cyber also, but communication capabilities required to increase the lethality of our warfighters in pursuit of the mission. That's simple, right? And then I implement effective C4 cyber capabilities. I ensure innovative, interoperable, and resilient capabilities are delivered to the force that I'm supporting, right? So as a Joint Staff J6, I'm looking at all the combatant commands. I want to make sure that what we're doing here is providing innovative, interoperable, resilient capabilities that are delivered to the joint force when they need it at the time of need and not late. And these things, again, these are my priorities that I set for myself. You got to have something that you're gonna be true to. It's never too late to start with something. And this has worked for me forever. Inform, advocate, and implement. The words tailor a little bit and the meanings behind it, but that's kind of what it is. And then you got to have guidance to be mindful of, right? You got to know where you're headed. We talked about before, know your organization's mission, but you have to have a plan. You have to communicate the plan, and then you have to execute the plan. And then you have to be involved and change the plan. You can't simply have a plan and then walk away from it and expect somebody else to execute it for you. And if you're not making mistakes, then you're not trying hard enough. I talked about it before. You're going to make mistakes. And if you're not making any mistakes and everything's perfect, I mean, I guess you could be that one guy or gal that's perfect at everything you do. But if you're not making mistakes along the way, then you're not trying hard enough. It's just something we say that I say. Your cooperation only affects the pace. What does that mean? If you don't buy into what the organization is doing and you drag your feet, or you're that one that's always a no kind of person, it's going to keep moving. The pace is going to move with you or without you. I prefer, and if you've worked with Colonel Geronimo, you probably understand it. Aggressiveness is a requirement, right? We move fast. You play by the rules and do what is right, not what looks good. I'll talk a little bit more about it in a minute, but big thing is, your cooperation only affects the pace. Leaders today are about outcomes and results, and not so much about the process. And then each member of the team plays a vital role. This is just guidance to be mindful of, right? So that means think and act. You must do both. Anticipate the process and the outcomes, and make it better. Make it better than you had it. I tell you that each member of the team plays a vital role. A lot of you may not be working with civilians. I've been in a joint environment for probably 15 years, and civilians are part of that joint environment, and their role is probably more challenging than yours and I. I say that because the military member transitions every 2 to 3 years. A new commander or new director comes in with a new focus and new energy to ramp things back up and change things and make it better than what it is today, because everybody has to be better than what the previous person was, right? Got to do a better job. Civilians go through this cycle every 2 to 3 years. It's just good to know. Remember, you must think and act, and you must do both. Lastly, what matters most, right, to you? So this is to me. We call it in the Army, warrior ethos. It's changed so many times. I've been in for so long, but basically, it's your ethos, right? It's what matters to you. They're all important, from leadership all the way down. But these are the ones that stick out to me, that stay true to who I am, that keep me grounded, and help me keep my cardinal heading on where I'm going. Right? I'm just going to talk about them. You'll pick them out where they are. But what you are when no one is watching is what you are. What does that mean? Integrity. You either have it or you don't. Right? I like to say, if you're a liar, you're a liar. Right? You're going to lie in private. You're going to lie in public. If you're a cheater, you're a cheater. Know the difference between compromise and error. Set the right example at all times. Your rank and position has been given to you to serve the nation. Don't forget that. That's why you're here, is to serve the nation. Be responsible and accountable. And most importantly, above all, treat all people with dignity and respect. It goes back to what I kind of said, the old saying, is people won't remember what you did or what you didn't do, but they'll remember how you made them feel, right? If you treat people with respect, dignity and respect, it goes a long way. And of course, that ethos is honor, right? How I see honor. Courage is the next one. There's no right way to do the wrong thing. Welcome the truth. Don't water it down. You as a warrant officer, that's one of our things, right? We're the honest broker. We have no skin in the game. We're not emotional. We're not tied one way or the other. Whether we always welcome the truth and we don't water it down. Take the right stand at your level. I say that again, it goes back to knowing your environment. There are things that you can stand for and fight for, and there are things you can't. But when it's appropriate at your levels, make sure you stand for it. If not, you have a leadership chain that will back you and support you, to support you when you're doing the right thing. Never cheat. Always get permission first. What I mean by that is, there are policies today that are going to impede you to get things accomplished. Doesn't mean that you can't get around them, but get permission first before you do it, right? Control your emotions. Warrant officers shouldn't have an emotional side when we're briefing a course of action. If it's not selected, don't get bent out of shape. Just go along with what it is and support the command and give everything you have to it. And you get what you allow. Again, if you allow people to cheat, then you're going to get cheaters. The last one for me is, it is who you are, not what you do. It's commitment, right? Know your profession, do your homework, never miss a deadline without permission. Be where you are supposed to be at all times. Find the way to win within the rules. Be involved and go beyond the requirement, right? The PT test is always a good example. I know we don't get promoted off PT scores, but the minimum is there for a reason, right? If you're that guy or gal that goes out and scores the 180, now I know it's different now. I don't know what the minimum score is. ACFT, are we going to take it? Are we not going to take it? Who knows? But the standing actual requirement, if you're a 180 kind of person, nothing wrong with that. I got it. PT test tomorrow, let's go out. We all can do the minimum, but go beyond the requirement. It says a lot about who you are, and that's not just PT. It's the easiest thing for me to point out to you. But those are the kind of things that kind of stand out. Next slide. Here's an example. I'll give it to Chief Gonzalez to send out. It's a 5-year plan. Yours will look different than mine. But again, this combined with who I am document is what I usually typically give my senior leaders, right? Talks about the boards. So for me, I'm already kind of maxed out on this stuff. There's not much to show. But for you, if you're coming up here in 23, 22, you could put promotion to CW5 should be up, right? Below zone look at CW5 or CW4, primary zone, above zone, whatever it is, you could put that on there, and it helps get the conversation started with your rater and senior rater of what needs to happen, right? So they can set expectations. Your PME, same thing. You want to be able to put your PMEs on here. And you know, I've listed the ones that I've been to. You guys are probably all tracking what WOLI is and senior staff education, how the Army runs. If you ever get an opportunity to do it in person, great. If not, there's a distance learning course on it. It's awesome to go to. You'll learn more about the POM, how we budget and how things get done. And then the SLS is a senior leader seminar. It's typically set aside for senior 06s, post brigade commanders, select W5s who support certain general officers. I would tell you what, if you can get to this class when you get to W5, it's a course you want to go to. It's going to make you jealous of the O grades and everything they do for professional military education. It's a whole different level of training. Think of it as being at a seminar, you know, at one of the top schools. It's awesome. And then for this one, strategic broadening seminars, you see those things pop up all the time on HRC's updates. You know, the latest one that I applied for, I'm hoping to get accepted to in 21, is the multi-domain operation strategic seminar. It's hosted in Israel, 2 weeks in Israel, 2 weeks in New York, but it's focused on multi-domain operations from a warfighter perspective, not a communication perspective. The jobs, you can list them. Here we are. My next one, you know, this is where you talk about your wish list. Again, this reflects on your evaluation, right? You want your boss to nominate you and put the next successive jobs in there. You know, these are the jobs that I'm interested in and would like to go to. And then these just kind of show my history of where I'm at. So that way the boss is looking at it, they kind of see where my performance has been and kind of have an idea where it is. The MQs are all from WACA. The last one right there, NBC, so you know W5s don't get a block check. So there is no block check, but the writing is important. And so WACA said, you know, top 1% field grade officer. These last three non-block checks have all been from Joint Service 3 stars, so not Army. And they chose to focus on a field grade officer versus warrant officer, right? Obviously, most of them don't have warrant officers in their services. This was a Coast Guard, this was Air Force, and this is a Marine right here. And that's kind of how they write it. But this is a tool that you can use so that way you can give a quick one snapshot picture to your boss, your new bosses, on where you are, what's about you, and it kind of talks about it. It's a good tool to use from a professional development standpoint. All right, I'm going to get out of the slides, leave it open for discussion. This is where you guys ask questions and talk about whatever you want. I kind of wanted to hit you a little bit. Most important thing you take away from it, number one, I'm approachable. If you haven't reached out to me because you don't know me, not your fault. If you know me and you haven't taken the time to reach out to me, that's probably on you, right? I'm available all the time. I think there's only 3 in the room that I personally recommended to become a warrant officer. In the Army today, there's 48 of you walking around that I actually wrote a letter of recommendation for. Total's been 68. All of my time out of WACA. I didn't start writing recommendation letters until I made W4, where I felt that I had the ability to help you get selected. If not, I forward you off to somebody else that I thought was more senior that could write the letter to get you in. I see Link McCoy. Mr. McCoy, how you doing, sir? Good old friend there.
I'm good, sir.
What can I do for you? What's the question you got?
So, and again, I'm not sure if I missed it because I just jumped out of another meeting into this. So, did you speak on diversity when you're talking about, you know, how do you become how do you be the best warrant officer you can as far as diversity in your jobs and diversity, being able to step outside the box and take those jobs, be comfortable being uncomfortable, taking those jobs or seeking those types of jobs to broaden your spectrum on. So when you are writing your evals or when you are looking at to pair yourself up with your peers across the board, that you're not just doing the same job over and over again, that you're allowing yourself to be a lot more diverse. Over.
Yeah, great point, Link. And so Mr. McCoy is right on point. Diversity is there. You know, 600-3 tells you what your career path is, and it gives you a wide range to look at it. What I'll tell you most importantly, and everyone here on this call, is where you're supposed to be, right? Your foundational warrant officer assignments. If you look across the board, the only thing consistent in the W5s that I can tell you is everybody started at a same foundational point in your career. What is that? We all started at the division, right? the division level, supporting a division or a corps. And so when you go back and look at it, you name the warrant officer, I'll tell you where they started as a W5. That's the true part. From there, there's nothing the same about us, right? If you look at CW5 Rob Bird, started in 101st. After he left 101st, he went behind the fence. Did not come out behind the fence until he made W5. So is that a career path? Yes, it is. How did he make it? He made it because of performance. He performed. His evaluations reflected his performance, which then equated to a promotion. Bernard Furloggy, same thing. 101st, after W2, he went behind the fence, never came out from behind the fence, right? And made W5. I'm telling you that because do you have to do battalion, brigade, division, corps, right? Some strategic job? That works. You'll be much more rounded. It makes it much more easier for the Army to utilize your talents when you do get promoted. But is there a hard way to get there? No. But diversity, like Mr. McCoy said, don't be scared of the jobs. Just perform. Get there and do the best you can and perform and support your command. That's the best you can do. And if at the end of the day, you can look yourself in the mirror and say, I did the best I can do, then you have succeeded. Remember, you define success, not a piece of paper, not somebody else looking at you. You got to be comfortable in your own skin to be where you're at and go through the tough jobs. Kind of what it is. You got to have fun too. You got to enjoy your job. If you're not enjoying what you're doing, I feel for you. We all have those days where they're tough days and you feel like you want to kind of quit for a minute and you got to go home and talk to somebody, your dog, your cat, your wife, your mom, your dad, a fellow friend, whatever it is. You have those days where you get beat down, where it seems like, everything you do is wrong, but they should be small and few between what's happening. But you should love what you're doing and enjoy what you're doing. I mean, you joined the Army for a reason. Everybody had one. I joined the military. As you looked, my age, I got a kid that's 26 and I'm 42, right? Do your math. It means I started when I was 16. I had a child. I came in the military to have a better life for my family, to get a college education. And I made rank fast, made E6 in 4 years, made warrant officer in 6. And so I was good at being a soldier. It was fun. I enjoyed it. I love the camaraderie. To me, it felt like being on a football team, right? Everybody had their role, had their spot in the job, and if we all work together, it's beautiful. When we all do our own thing, it's terrible, and it's a variable, it's a bad game day. But that's kind of what I did, and I've loved it since then, right? The reason I'm still in, hitting 25 this year is because I love what I'm doing. I don't have to stay in. I like what I'm doing. It's fun, and I feel that I'm still a value added to organizations. Any other questions? You got to have something out there. Don't kill me on things, but if you got something you want to know, I'll send you my information, my phone number, my email. You guys can reach out anytime. I'll find a way to get you on the calendar. Just understand that sometimes between your time and my time, it may be late your time or early morning my time. Yep, Chief Ballantyne.
Hey, sir. So based on like the multi-domain task force and the way things seem to be headed, how important would you say it is worth trying to push toward joint assignments, or is it a requirement moving to like CW4? Do you need to have a joint assignment, or would you recommend having a joint assignment in your portfolio?
Yeah, I'll tell you that you don't have to have a joint assignment. Again, you can go back and look at CW5. Craig Watts never did a joint assignment, and he made W5. Am I right? Yep. I think he didn't. I know he made it Doden later on in his career. But you don't have to have a joint assignment. It's a good thing. I think it gives you a better perspective on how to communicate with your sister agencies, your sister organizations that you're going to go to a fight with. So there's nothing wrong with that. I would tell you getting a command assignment, if you can, is not a bad thing. Would be a great opportunity. Working at DISA is a great opportunity. These are all opportunities that come up at the time. It's all about timing, and the new AIM system. If you haven't heard about it, you haven't looked at it, you need to get aware of it. Even W5s, we had to go through the AIM process, right? I went in, I ranked 1 through this movement cycle was 17, I think, or 16. Mr. McCoy was also on the same one. We ranked 1 through 16. I interviewed for 5 jobs, and we'll see how it falls out, right? It's a 1-for-1 match. You hope it's good. You hope the Army doesn't override it. But there are processes. Exceptional family member program will trump a 1-for-1 match. And also Army Married Couple Program can trump a 1-for-1 match, and also needs of the Army. So talent needs. You may have a certain skill set that the Army needs in a certain location based on knowledge, skills, and attributes, and it can change, right, because of that. But I think it's a new tool. It's the way that the chief wants to go. Chief of Staff of the Army wants to go. My viewpoint on moving in the Army, I'll tell you, this is how I look at things. People disagree, people agree. It's my opinion, so take it for what it's worth. Chief of Staff of the Army mentioned it last year at AUSA. They want you to go where you want to go. The chief wants you to go where you want to go, right? Why is that? An individual who's motivated and wants to go somewhere is going to be a more productive member of the organization. They also realize that that's not always going to be possible, right? What if you wanted to go to Wyoming and there's no Army installation in Wyoming, but you want to go to Wyoming, right? Unless you're going to go to recruiting command, which they won't let warrant officers go up into battalions and so forth. But what can the chief do? So chief says he wants to be able to incentivize you to go where he needs you to go. He being the Army needs you to go. Okay, what does that mean? They've defined that today for your traditional O-grade officer, right? That could be, hey, as a junior major, I'm going to put you in a key development job earlier than your peers, which means you have an opportunity to knock out that KD job earlier, might give you a better opportunity to get promoted, those kind of things. Also, monetarily, they could incentivize you by money, sending you somewhere. So that stuff's all being worked out with the Talent Management Task Force. Our representative on that task force, if you're not tracking, is CW3 Austin Boone. I don't think Austin's got promoted yet, but Austin Boone is on the task force. And so it'd be a great opportunity in the future, maybe pull him into one of these OPD sessions to let him talk about the Army Talent Management Task Force and where they're going and what's happening and things you need to know about. Some of the things that I'm abreast of that's going to be very interesting to you guys is the ability to opt in a board and opt out of a board. What do I mean? Say I'm a W3 and I'm coming up for promotion for W4. My file is not quite where it needs to be right now. I want to not compete for W4 and not be a negative thing for me in my career. I can stay at W3 for X number more years before I have to be boarded. That's a great opportunity, right? Same thing for W4. What if being W5 is maybe not in my horizon, so I don't want to compete and get 2 non-selects and I have to go home? What if I want to stay as a W4, right? I know my file. Somebody's been honest with me and sat down, looked at my file and said, it's not there. I promise you, W5 is truly about numbers. It's a timing. What's the floor? What's the ceiling? How many are we picking up? Could be 1 today. Could be 7 tomorrow. It could be 0, right? It's all about a floor and ceiling. And then it's going to come down to your performances. But you have that opportunity. Another thing that probably would excite a lot of you guys is the ability to be looked for promotion based on merit. 3 consecutive MQs as a W3 could get you promoted to W4, right? So basically bringing it back to below zone, but getting you ahead of the board cycle. 3 consecutive MQs at W4 could get you competing at W5 promotion board ahead of your peers, right? So those things are different things that the Talent Task Force is looking at that we should all kind of be cognizant of. I think they're good opportunities. My bigger concern is how do we retain talent and how do we make sure that you feel challenged, right? We are the most marketable people. We try to explain that to HRC, to the human resource people here in the G1, is that signal warrant officers are more marketable, more valuable on the outside than we are today inside the Army. It can appear that way, right? The jobs we're putting you in aren't challenging. We're not giving the right education to be successful, and we're not recognizing the skills that you have, right? So how do we better utilize your skills, talents, and keep you in the military? Only way we're going to do that is if you're having fun and you're enjoying it, and you're committed to your time. Anything past 20, you'll go. I know tons of people in my year group that got out at W3, turned down W3 and got out, right? Didn't hit 12, 14 years and walked away, are successful today. They did it because the Army wasn't fulfilling something they needed. And so it's a commitment to be a part of this, to wear this uniform. It's not easy. We all know that. But the Army's trying to figure it out, and they're going to get there. They're right now, cyber has bonuses to keep them, to retain them. And we came back in doing the same thing, capturing our skill sets that we have. But to do that, it goes back to the certifications. You got to be able to show that you have this certification, right? So a W3 can get this, a W4 can get this. My W5 peers were trying to get a bonus for us to stay in. We don't want us to stay in. We want us to go home as soon as possible so we can open the path for you guys to come in behind us. It'd be crazy. I can do 15 years as a W5 before I have to go home, before I have to retire. If I'm around 15 years, one of you guys should be pushing me out, telling me it's time to go home. Now, I'm not saying that a senior W5 that has 10 years or more in is not effective. We have some in the formation today that are very relevant, that are key in the positions they are, and are that right expert where we are. Each of us has different, experiences and stuff. But the goal is not for me to come in and do 15 years as W5, right? I'll probably do one more assignment. The goal to get to 30, but I probably won't make it to 30. I'll be out before then. I got a grandkid. I want to get home and see my granddaughter more than anything else. Anybody else got questions or concerns? You got me. I could be catching a train home right now. It takes me 2 hours to get home, so I'm joking.
Hey, Chief, this is Chief Gonzalez.
Yeah.
This is more a lower level question, I guess. In fact, you've answered most of them that I wrote down as far as diversity of assignments. As far as being a junior warrant officer, why should our guys care about these trends in the Signal Corps and upcoming boards and things like that? So often I find that even myself, like those things weren't important. What was important was getting equipment configured, executing missions and things like that. And so one of the reasons I wanted to start this WOPD program was so that we can kind of take a pause and think about those things. But yeah, what kind of advice would you have for all of us out here as far as caring more about career progression?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'll tell you this, if you don't care, nobody's going to care for you. So your career is your career, right? You got to be invested in what you're doing and know where you're going and know your timelines and know what's going to happen. You got to ensure that when your evaluation is due, that your evaluation is being done, right? I have numerous peers that have gone, you would think somebody in the S1 would have thrown a red flag, but have gone 2 years without evaluations. How do you go 2 years without having an evaluation? And then it's your fault for not asking for it. It's your raiders' fault for not doing their job. But it's your fault for not tracking that. Your career is yours. So if you want to continue to have a career in the military, you need to invest the time into that. You need to know when your windows are. You need to put it there. That's why that 5-year chart kind of puts you out, right? It'll tell you where you're going to go and what needs to be there, and it puts a mark on the wall. I'll tell you that I hit advanced class very late in my time. It was because that I followed the mission requirements and I always took care of the mission, right? Didn't take care of myself. And the command's going to use you. I mean, I don't know how many of you have been in a command today with a battalion commander, a company commander that says, Chief, I'm going to take care of you, but it's got to wait till I get out here. I get out here in 5 months. I just need you to be around. The next one comes in. You think they're going to let you leave? Of course they're not. They're going to want you to be there for the same reason the last one did it. And so you need to take care of yourself, put the marks on the wall, and know that they're there, and get to the schools that you need to get to, and get the understand the board processes and where you're at. Everything right now is pretty much automated, where you get on there, you look at it, just make sure things are updated, track your things that you're there. Great thing is photos are no longer part of the boards, so you ain't got to worry about taking a photo. So Chief Ballantyne, you and the mustache are going to be okay. It's a joke. You look good. CW5 Ray Kentz probably loves that. I know Mr. Kentz back when he was a W3, I was a W1. Back when I was supporting 30 ACR in downrange. Love it. I can't grow it, so it's more jealousy on my part. Don't take it as anything else. I just can't grow a mustache. It comes in patches, and it definitely shows my age of being too young to grow one. Maybe when I get out, I'll get that. How many of you guys were upset that 670-1 came out and we didn't get that beard coming in, right? I see it, yeah. Yeah, it's hilarious. It's good stuff though, right? I mean, we're making some equitable changes. It was good to see a perspective of our fellow soldiers that had been ignored for so long. My wife used to be in the military, so I understand the challenges that she had. She got out and she was happy. She let her hair down. So those are the important things about the board that I focus on it. It's up to you. You need to be able to focus on it. If you're not focused, then we're not there. Mr. Perry, I see you got your hand up. What can I do for you?
Hey, Chief. Question I had was, I know we're kind of beating a dead horse talking about assignments, but obviously an important thing for all of us. Was there any particular assignment you feel that just really had the biggest impact on your success in terms of being, maybe the most challenging or rewarding, either technical or professional development? I guess that's it.
Yeah, I'll tell you, all the assignments had an impact, right? Like anything else, you got to take the good with the bad. Same thing, you run across leaders and you sit there and say, man, I'd like to emulate her or him. I'll take this. And then you also walk away from them and say, shoot, I'll never do that, right? That's never going to happen. You'll never see me do that. assignment wise, you're going to make them out. You're going to be able to make them successful yourself. The assignment that had the most influence on my career would be my assignment to the National Security Agency. The reason I say that was prior to that, traditional Army ran into civilians very, very limited. Worked at the tactical level, barely touched operational, definitely wasn't strategic. So as a W-2, I got assigned to the National Security Agency via the 704th Military Intelligence Brigade. And I had to work. My first assignment was all civilians. I was the only military person in my directorate, right? They worked in cubicles. I called them gophers. They popped their head up, they looked back down. They popped back up, they looked back down. They watched the clock, and things work slow. And so coming from a deployment, and you're used to having that instant gratification, you give me a problem, I attack it, next problem. These things were, you're going to certify the Rascal, encryption device, and it's going to be published in 4 years later. And you're like, huh? Like, I won't be in this organization when this device is finally certified. Or when we worked the Viper, when the Viper first came out, I certified it at NSA. So those kind of things, it was a eye-opening experience, but to learn how to work with civilian counterparts, I also got to learn quickly how to work at a strategic level, how important it was to be able to write a technical document at the strategic level and affect national policy. That job provided me to be successful at the White House Communication Agency, where you're dealing at the highest level of the national government, not only the department, but you're working with a lot of civilians, both military and non-military civilians, straight out of college, straight off the street, working from Google, Facebook, you name it, working with these people. So I think it was the assignment there that gave me an opportunity to kind of push me into an uncomfortable area. I remember 6 months into it, I called my mentor and said, hey, I appreciate you giving me a break, taking a knee from back-to-back deployments, but this is the wrong assignment. I can't be here anymore. I got to get out of here. This is not where I want to be. And he said, hey, you gotta push through, and it's going to be the best job you ever had. 2 years later, I was excited that I had the job. Mr. Jimenez.
Hey, Chief, how you doing? A quick question about PME. Is there talks in the near future to incorporate PME during PCS for all the warrants? I know for the most part, most of us have to go and find some kind of white space in between, BCT, division time, and all that stuff to try to get to school. Is that something that's being talked about amongst the senior ranks to incorporate PME throughout our career?
Yeah, so that's always the number one objective of HRC, is to catch you en route. And you should be planning that in your career time to bring that up with HRC is, hey, I'm PCSing. How can I get, WAC en route is what you want to try to catch. Same thing. One of the things they're also trying to do is they're trying to pull ILE and SSE back down to Gordon, right? So there'd be a Gordon, instead of a follow-on, it'll all be taught at Gordon. This has been an ongoing discussion with the Combined Armed Command on where PME should fall are you going to, by branch, are you going to pull it back like Special Forces, or are you going to do it all in one location? Yes, there's talk about it, but really it's all about the movement cycle and where you fall in your career. And HRC is a priority for them, pushing you to it. I don't think there's a backlog as there used to be as much for the classes. I think right now they can't find enough people to fill the classes. But that's where you should try to get it, is during the transition. I'll bring that up to Brooks. I don't know who Brooks' replacement is yet. Hasn't been advertised, I don't think. But of where we are from, HRC's perspective, if something's changed, but that's always been the goal. Good to see you, Will. Anybody else got any questions? I see a hand down here. Who we got? Oh, Perry stands still up. Perry, you got another question? Nope.
No, sorry. I guess I
No,
realized
you're
it.
good. Don't worry about it. It's it. Anything else, guys? You want my prediction on who's going to win the Super Bowl? Make some money off.
Hey, this is
Not the Cowboys.
This is Chief Short. How you doing, sir?
How you doing, sir?
All right. So hey, we were talking earlier about this new program, Project Convergence, the C2 program earlier. They were talking about is just the amount of conversation happening on reinforcing our fundamentals, our core infrastructure, our network infrastructure as it is on the future. It seems like we are growing at an exponential rate in software concepts. With that also comes a good amount of bureaucracy. But I mean, I'm still working on BCCS servers that are outdated, out of warranty. What are we doing if we don't have a robust infrastructure and network architecture in place? These future concepts are doomed to fail. Is there anything conversation going on at the top level about how we reinforce our fundamental backbone?
Yeah, so that's the number one priority for a network cross-functional team, right? And you might be a good opportunity for Mr. Gonzalez to reach out to CW5 Westbrook to kind of bring in where is Army Futures Command Network CFT at on those things. But definitely, that's why I talked about the radios before, right? If you think that you're not a radio, your radio backbone, it's not gonna be an opportunity for you, then you probably need to relook what you're doing. Increasing the SATCOM capabilities, the resiliency of our SATCOM. It's all discussions that are being there. So it's definitely part of what we're focusing on. It's also not only the transmission pass, but the backbone, CONUS. Your networks are falling. Our networks are falling apart from a distance standpoint, from the bigger DOTN, and then from a NetCom standpoint, from the Army side of the house. So everybody's trying to put the investment into it. It has. If you look at the recently published NDAA, I'll send that to Chief Gonzalez also. It's on SIPR. There's verbiage in there and money associated to us getting after it, right? So once Congress gets a hold of it, the House and the Senate Armed Service Committee starts putting things in the NDAA, things start happening, which means people in the department have been talking enough about it and drawing the attention of the right people. So it's definitely there. I'll tell you, like anything else, comms cost a lot, and so you got to figure out what you're going to do and when you're going to do it, right? SINGAR's, as you know, probably SINGAR's radios are at the end of life from a crypto modernization standpoint. The keys are expiring this year, and so how do you modernize the ComSec at a tune of almost $1 billion? If we're going to do it today, the program manager says it's going to be $1 billion to get all the SINGARs in the Army to be crypto modernized and be ready to go. Why are we there? Because 17 years we've kind of pushed this ball down the road. We're not worried about our SINGAR's encryption with our adversary where we are over in the Middle East. Now we're worried about it, our encryption that's about to expire. So those are some challenges there. Again, good recommendation would be to get Chris Westbrook to come in from Network CFT to tell you about where we are with network enhancements from infrastructure and transport capabilities that Network CFT is looking at. But the reality is, half of you won't see it. You'll probably be in your next 2 assignments before you see something that goes through it. But we're going to have to continue to improve what we're doing. Oh, you got HRC coming in. Oh, okay. It's a good one. It's going to be Mr. Bache or going to be Mr. Brooks?
It'll be both of them, Chief.
Oh, tag teaming. Yeah. You get pretty boy Mike. Mike Brooks gets to come in and talk to you. Anything else? Yep. Major Spencer, how you doing, sir?
Chief, how's it going?
Well,
Your resident 26 Alpha, kind of soaking up all this knowledge. So you mentioned earlier about working with the 26 Alpha and saying, hey, how can I help you? And it's something that really resonated with you. And I truly believe, with every strong 26 Alpha, there's a couple strong 255 Novembers and 255 Alphas to stand behind to ensure that he's successful. So my question is, what do you look for in that type of relationship between the 26 Alpha and the net techs, and what through your experience, what's worked best for you?
Well, the first thing is just mutual respect, right? Understanding that we both have a role to do. Easiest thing is once you guys get on a common level of understanding who does what, there are strengths and weaknesses. You identify what it is as a team, and you work together. And so for me, I won't go home until the team goes home. It's always been that way. If I have to go home, it's because something's going on and everybody understands it and they'll pick up the slack that I dropped. So you have to be a team player and work through it. You can't be worried about whose name's on a product or who's briefing the thing. The way I look at it is if I work for the 3 and the 3 is briefing and the 3 is successful, that means I was successful because I supported the 3 to do the job to get where they needed to be. If you're doing your job right, the recognition and stuff will follow later. If you're looking for recognition and you want your name on something or you want to be called out for something, there's nothing wrong with that. But I've never been the one that want to get the recognition for something, right? I have a team that does it like you're saying, sir. So what I look for is one, it's just the mutual respect for the positions that they have, understanding that to be successful, we have to work as one cohesive unit. And then identifying where the strengths and weaknesses are and how can we tackle something. I use that same philosophy today. I have a chief of staff who works directly for the 3-star like I do, we have different roles completely. But on a regular basis, we're talking to each other saying, hey, what can I help you out with? What do you got going on today? And what I don't ever say is that's not my role. That's not my job, right? I'm real quick to say, okay, it's going to take me a little bit longer. I need this resource, whether it's time or money to get something accomplished, but I'm always willing to help. That's kind of how you have to endear yourself to the organization. They should know coming to you, you're going to help. And it's just the way that he said it. He'd always say, how can I help you today? Right. And he was sincere about it. It wasn't just a saying, he was sincere, but you'd catch him. It could be the worst day in his life. Right. And he'd sit there and say, how can I help you? What can I do for you today to help you? And that's what he really wanted to do. And he's genuine about it. And I remember that today. And so that's how I kind of look at it. Starts with respect for one another, and then building the team based on the priorities of the mission and figuring out how do we be successful as a group and how do we cover down when you need to. So we're not single threaded on something, sir. Hope that answers the question.
Oh, it sure does. Thank you so much.
Yep. Yeah. I found that, respect for one another is just going to be the common thing. You're going to have disagreements. Nothing's personal. I mean, shoot, you got Zal Thet, Mr. Thet's on here, and Mr. McCoy. I'm sure we've had disagreements together in WACA, but nothing's personal. It's always professional. And respect for one another is always high. We all bring value to the team in our own capacities. Our own experiences are what make you unique and how you adapt to the team. It's got to be adaptable. I have a Marine boss, so he says Super Gumby. Super Gumby, I didn't get that for a while, but I got it. He's saying Gumby stretches left and right, and Semper, I guess, because Semper Fi, whatever. But you got to be adaptable and take it as you go. Never say I don't do that. It's not my job. I got more of my certifications over there because somebody told me to do something that wasn't my job. I just took advantage of it. To be more effective, sir, ma'am, I need X number $1,000 to be certified. Hey, there's a boot camp coming up at this location. I'd love to go to it. I took advantage of all those. I'm a November by trade, and you look on that, there's more Sierra stuff and more Alpha stuff on those certifications than what it is. That also backfires on you. Long time ago, Colonel Hensley, retired. Barry Hensley used to be the 57th Signal Battalion commander, also JCSC commander. He paid for my Microsoft certifications. So all the Alpha stuff that I was doing, servers and so forth, he paid for it. He wanted me to professionalize in it. I told him there was a $10,000 course to go to. His organization, not my organization, paid for me to go to do it. That backfired on me 4 years down the road. After that, I got a by name request from HRC for a 255 Alpha job. And I was sitting there saying, I'm in November. Why am I going to an Alpha job? Well, he says, you have this skill set. It's not on my ORB. It's not on evaluation. Who knows that? And then he comes back in. Colonel Hensley says he paid for this. Yep, he's right. I go do that job. And so I did a YS tasker to go support a mission for 9 months based on the skill set that he knew I had. But never turn away free education. Always wrap it up to be how you can get it. I don't chase certifications anymore. One, they're too hard to maintain. I mean, I'm sure you guys are tracking all the requirements of where they are. I just found out that my MCSE doesn't expire. Microsoft is lifelong certifications, but they're active in legacy. Legacy means that the certification is no longer tested or offered. So my core, my MCSE core infrastructure that I loved is no longer offered. They want me to go to Azure, and I'm not going to go be Azure certified. I'll take the classes, I'll learn about stuff, but I'm not going to go get certifications. I don't want to be hired for a certification. I want to go teach when I get out. So I have a teaching degree too. It's not on my paper, but I teach when I get out. Anything else? Any other questions? Any other concerns? Somebody said not the Cowboys going to win. I will let you know we have more Cowboys on the Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills that are being successful. The teams are successful because the Cowboys are on the team. FYI.
Well, Chief, if no one else has any questions, I just want to thank you for doing this for us. We've all taken copious notes, and this is very useful for all of us, whatever stage we're at in our careers. I know you have a busy schedule, and I really appreciate you doing this for us.
Yeah, guys, it was a great opportunity. Thank you for inviting me to be a part of this. I think it's a great thing that you guys are starting. And you don't have to always pick rank heavy people. There are people in your formation left and right that can provide great OPD sessions to you. Mentorship comes in all forms and fashions. It's not always the most senior person you can find. I have peers from when I was W1 all the way up to W5 that were mentors to me in certain areas. And that shouldn't be a bad thing for you to look for somebody that's left and right of you to be able to provide opportunities But when you have certain topics you want to get a hold of, utilize your cohort. You have a network that's large. If you're not tracking, it's 1,148 Compo 1 warrant officers, right? That's a lot of people active duty you should go reach out to on a regular basis, and not counting the Compo 2 and 3 that have resources to support you. We are a large organization, and the success of us is based upon the ability to reach out to one another to answer questions for our bosses. And so you guys, again, I'm impressed to see that you guys, at least you talk a good talk. You guys say you talk to each other, you know each other, you work together well. That's awesome. But that network and that brotherhood is going to provide you success down your road, right? The warrant officer school starts you off that way in basic course for a reason. You have a group of people left and right of you that you at least have a commonality, right? You dealt with basic course and most likely candidate school together. That's your foundation for, asking questions and asking for friends. But you build that network, continue to build it. Now you have this huge network of resources to you. And if you keep it up and you talk to people, and again, you're respectful and you leave a good impression, they're always going to help you. They're going to remember that, hey, I don't remember exactly what Danny Burns, but he was always great. I think I'm going to help him out. What am I going to do for him? And don't be hesitant to reach out and ask a question. I'm here for you guys. Send an email. I'm pretty quick to respond. And I'll share my information, my phone number. Some of you guys already have it. I'll pass it out. Don't hesitate to reach out to it as you're coming up for assignments. You want to know what jobs out there, what to look for. I mean, you control your destiny now in AIM. We did have a signal warrant officer talent management panel that was assisting commanders and kind of going through and recommending where people went. HRC kind of put that on a hold a little bit. We'll see if we get it spun back up. This next movement cycle is starting right now. But if you need us to look at your board packets, again, there's 32 W5s. Reach out to one of the 32, right? They all know the same information. They look at a file, give you an honest assessment. But you should have an honest assessment of where you sit, and that where you can understand what you're trying to do. And then from there, you can, again, determine your own success. Don't let somebody else tell you what success is. To me, 20 years, honorable discharge, that's success, man. So don't hesitate to reach out to me. Thank you for the time again. If you need anything, I do see a hand popped up. Hopefully I didn't miss it. Oh, and DS just dropped out. So, all right. Any questions, anything else? If not, I'll drop off, guys.
Nope. Thanks a lot, Chief. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Thank you.